Welcome to Levels for Guitar. My name is Jason Earnhardt, guitar instructor in Rockwall, Texas for over 20 years. And that's been a full-time teaching gig for over 20 years. And so what I'm hoping to do is to take that experience and package it together in the form of a website for you and your friends. About 10 years into teaching, I started putting together packets for students. And so a beginner would show up, they would receive the packet, which would have all the information they needed to get them from a beginner to an intermediate level player. It was about a year's worth of material, so they already had it in advance in their first lesson. And so they would show up to each lesson and we would just check off each level until they made it to the end. And so by the time they finished, they were masters at the basics of guitar. And that is the fundamentals of music theory and guitar technique. About 10 years into teaching, I decided to put these packets together in the form of a book, or better yet, an online resource with videos and charts and text that I could update on a regular basis. You can't do that with a book. And that there was the beginning of Levels for Guitar. And so I got a hold of my good friend Chris Harris, who's the IT guy, and he put together this very website that you're watching right now. And what started off as a free resource for my local students eventually turned into something that we decided to advertise to the rest of the world. And we know it works because when it was free, my local clientele was getting a hold of this information and learning it before showing up to their first lesson. In other words, they showed up to their first guitar lesson as an intermediate level player. They were well versed in the fundamentals. And then we were able to blast off from that point and move forward. I didn't have anything to worry about on a technical or a theory level. We didn't have to go over any of the basic stuff. They were ready to go and tackle the more difficult material. Levels for Guitar is designed for beginners, but it's made for everyone. Everyone can benefit from working on the fundamentals of guitar technique and music theory. We're not about teaching songs. We know that if you are well versed in the fundamentals, that those things will take care of themselves at a later date. Let me provide an example for you. At the studio, I had a student show up to a lesson who was frustrated because he couldn't learn the solo to Lagrange. He knew the solo, but there was a certain part in the middle that kept giving him fits. And he'd been working on this thing for years. He told me he practiced it 15 to 20 minutes a day for the past 2 to 3 years. And so I tried to figure out what was stumping him. I had him play it. And what I noticed after about the third run through was that he was playing the notes in the right order and at the right speed, but the rhythm was off. And so I asked him if he understood how rhythm works. And he told me, no, I just feel the music, man. I just feel it. And so there's a lot of players out there who have natural talent. And this guy had some natural talent. In fact, he was playing in a band. He was playing in a cover band. But sometimes natural talent has its limits, and you must do the math. And so what we did is we worked on the skill of counting. And so we learned about 4/4 time. We learned what quarter notes were, eighth notes, 16th notes, and we learned how to count in straight rhythms and swing rhythms. And so once we did that, we took a month off of playing guitar and we focused on just counting the rhythm. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And so about a month after doing that, I put the notes together in the area where he kept messing up underneath the rhythm stems, and he started counting those rhythm stems and playing the notes to those counts. And he started off slow and sped it up and sped it up, and something that he had been failing at for 2 years, he was able to accomplish in 2 months after learning the fundamentals. And that right there is what Levels for Guitar is all about. It's about teaching you the fundamentals. Now, you can imagine had this guy learned how to count early in his career on top of his natural talent, his output could have been a lot greater over the course of his guitar life. So to sum things up, we are a different type of training course. We're not interested in teaching you popular, sexy songs. That's fun to do, but we know you're going to do that anyway. There's YouTube videos out there and you can learn songs all day long. What we want to do is teach you those hardcore fundamentals. And any of you involved in sports know how important the fundamentals are if you want to take it serious. If you're a basketball player, you know how important footwork is and how important form is in shooting a consistent basket. If you're a baseball player, you know how important it is to work on standing in the batter's box and to hold the bat properly and to turn your head properly. It's more than about swinging the bat. If you're a golfer, you understand how important the stance is and how to hold your hand and your shoulders. There's a lot that goes into that. So we're no different. This is a skill that it can be done with natural talent, but if you truly want to excel, you need to focus on the fundamentals of guitar technique and music theory.